I actually came here when I was 12 years old, which is a long time ago. But yeah, this is my first time back.
What strikes you most now about visiting again?
When I was 12 years old, I really didn't appreciate this, obviously, but now it's got me very sentimental. Seeing the opening film as I sat down, most people will sit down and really love the way you guys presented the game and the players. But for me, looking at the umpires, I could recognize each one of them as they came up, and some of them have passed away, so it makes me nostalgic for them. A lot of them I got to work with, so yeah, it's really, even as I look around here, some of the players I came up through the minor leagues with, and there we were standing on a field, 50 years ago, and now they're enshrined in the Hall of Fame, and we didn't know 50 years ago that one day this would be a career that we look back on. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Makes me appreciate the career that I had all the more.
Who are some of those Hall of Famers when you were 12 years old that you really admired? Were you looking at the umpires that young, or were more of those players?
At 12, I was more looking at the players. But I remember in 1979, the Pittsburgh Pirates came back for 3-1 to beat the Orioles, and Dave Parker was on that team. And that's one of the things that made me fall in love with baseball. So, and then to get to meet him later as he was coaching, and now him getting into the Hall of Fame, and even a lot of the people that I've seen around through the game, coaches, managers, to see them enshrined here is really cool.
Dave Parker, as you mentioned, class of 2025. What is it? What's that special sauce that made him so unique? Of all the players you've been behind the plate to see, how does Dave Parker stand out specifically?
Dave Parker was one of those guys that could do everything. He could hit, he could run, he could throw. I look at Billy Wagner, class of 2025, and he was one of the first guys I remember that I saw behind the plate throw over 100 miles an hour. I mean, now everybody's kind of doing it, but he was a once-in-a-lifetime special talent. So, the guys that have that talent, but also the drive and the desire, they're the ones that end up here.
When you come back here, you brought your chest protector.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so I was in the minor leagues. I was going to the Texas League in 1992, I believe, and we had this model made of Cecil Carlucci was a Pacific Coast League umpire that had retired. He made these custom made for us. $250 was a lot of money back then, but I wore that thing the rest of my career. So it had been with me through World Series and playoffs and perfect games. I got to work no hitters. We always thought, hey, one day when I'm done, this protector should be at Cooperstown, the guys used to tell me. And I said, you know what? That's a great idea. So people that enjoy umpiring, enjoy baseball, enjoy history, they'll get to look at it forever.
And sure enough, on the back, Hall of Fame model. Interesting detail there.
Yes, that's what he called that type of protector. Little did he know that one day that might be in Cooperstown.
Sure did. And you mentioned those perfect games. You hold a very unique space. Of the 10 umpires here, something you did that they never did. You worked 2 perfect games behind home plate.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I feel like I caught lightning in a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about the history of the game, and there's only been, I think, 20, 28, or so to think that I've been behind the plate for 2 of those, but also I worked third base at Philip Humber's game. So I normally only umpire to be on the field for 3 of them, and I have to be in a very small group of people that have been around for 3 perfect games.
So talk us through it. What's happening? What you're feeling during these perfect game moments?
Well, I'm feeling a whole lot of pressure right here. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to cost a perfect game, or you don't want to give them something that you didn't earn. So this last out, it was just it was a feeling of relief. I wasn't even sure that he had a perfect game. I looked at the board and I saw he had no hits, and he was facing the minimum. And as I was walking down the tunnel, I asked my crewmates, was that a perfect game? They said, yes, it was. But what a magical thing is I watch here, Yogi Berra caught the first pitch. Don Larson threw out the first pitch. It was Joe Tori's birthday. So many great things. Of all the games that I worked 3,400 regular season games plus postseason games. Like, this is the one that sometimes I lay in bed at night and I replay in my mind, and I can remember almost all of it. At one point I could remember all of it, but as I get older, some of it's starting to fuzz out a little bit, but this brings back great memories.
Yeah. What's impressive is you remember Joe Tori's birthday, right? These are guys you're working with in a way. Is that stuff you made a point to try and remember?
Well, Joe, actually such a wonderful guy. Wasn't so wonderful as a manager toward umpires, but he actually became our boss and then became a good friend. And I would always joke with him, and I still send a text to him on his birthday, and he'll text me back and say, congratulations on the anniversary of the perfect game. So, of all the games that I've worked, the thing I treasure the most out of my career is relationships. relationships with, as I see Joe Girardi's catching, and when we see each other, we reflect over this day. David Cone, Scott Brocious as he catches that ball, Chuck Knobloch. It brings back memories of working relationships that I had and friendships. The late Chuck Merriweather was working this game with me, and he's passed away. Jim Evans and Larry McCoy, who have retired now. So this game, to me, is about relationships. It's about friendships. So it makes me happy to look at this. Thank you.
Very small fraternity, and being a part of that is something pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. The baseball fraternity itself is small, and then you take the umpire fraternity, and that's even smaller. So I'm honored to be a part of it.